switch you off in the corner again.
Yeah, it works.
Yes, and now it's popping up the, see, I commented via the Facebook stream is starting at noon, which means it'll pop up the moment I switch screens. Okay, those are there. I was going to hand you clay, or were you going?
Why don't you hand me clay?
Okay, let me get some water heating for you.
I could probably do this too. Yeah, while the water's heating, I could probably put handles on those two cups up there, because we have a couple of little handles.
You have a whole tray of handles.
Oh.
I wanted that guy. See if they'll even let go of the bat.
Yeah.
It's awful shiny in the bottom.
No, I think it's stick over here.
Whoop, no, not letting go. You will be attaching handles where they are.
Yeah. Okay, and then just update it. I'm just trying to get
The easiest way is to hit your page.
Yeah, it wasn't coming out. Oh, here we go. It says this video has no sound. Did you forget to turn the sound back?
Oh no, I turned the sound on.
Okay.
I'll even double check. The first few minutes of it had no sound. Nope,
Okay.
definitely I see the little audio line.
And we've got somebody here. Aaron
Hello.
Forbes, hello. I'm gonna be doing, this is a multi-stream.
Oop, mute that cow. Nope, mute. There.
Class for South Downs Winter Arts and Sciences.
Midwinter it is.
Midwinter Arts and
Get
Sciences.
all the words in there.
All the words in there.
Now,
Sorry.
oh yes, and I will set this one. Just gonna start with some handles. This one gets set aside because he's a triple handle.
Yeah.
You go long. You get out of the way.
Yeah. Bring
And I'm
ready
collecting
for
the
that.
handles onto a smaller board, something a little more transportable.
Yeah. Get the handle. Do a couple handles while we're waiting for people to join the class.
And for the water to heat up.
And for the water to heat up.
There we go. Pile O handle.
And those can go right over here.
Okay, I'll hand them to you because I can't get past
Yeah.
the...
And I'm looking for the little handle.
So excited to see this. Hello.
Hello.
There's somebody commenting from YouTube.
Cool. Hey.
Because yes, it comes up with the different little colors in the corner there.
Yeah.
And if anyone has any specific questions about what sort of persona they're looking at getting data on, I can switch
What
to
kind
that
of
part
pottery?
of the what kind of pottery.
Or she'll just start with the early periods and work her way through.
Yes, currently
I'm
the
doing
early period of the
right now I'm doing a little bit of putting handles on them. These ones are Middle Eastern designs.
yeah, actually I
You
can
could bring up that.
pop out green comparison folders.
Yeah. See, these ones are.
For one eye. Those are using this. There we go. So that is the kind of piece that she's, not the exact style of piece, but another one of that era. So the Menai ones are 1200s.
Yeah.
And it's a big trading range, in which case you get the pottery that travels a lot. So yes, and one of the things she does do is make the handle a little bit larger. It's the making the period piece slightly more usable.
modern. Yeah, because the
Modern
handles were just
Tiny.
meant to put a finger through, or to hold onto the handle, but not put your finger through the handle.
I like
So
some
I have to-
teacups.
Yeah.
You come off? No.
And then now I do this. I have to mark where the handle is gonna be. And then what is called slip and score. It's like if you're, it's like when you're doing like tile work or anything else where you have to roughen up the surface
Make the goop stick.
so the goop will stick, so they will join to be one surface.
Yes. You have a second cup that's that kind of make. I think there's a second smaller handle.
And here's the
This
Slip.
clay is cold. I don't want to
it's
touch
the
it.
stuff that is in the bucket.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of water in the goop bucket, is there?
Yeah, it's messy too.
So what I can do is adjust it so people can see the goop a little bit better. There we go.
Sorry, I don't have any period looking wash water buckets.
No.
Not that you can really see what they are anyways. These are kind of blurry.
As you sling it this way, you can see the handles and the array of tools.
A very modern paperwork.
You need verticality in your tools.
Yes. Kept not being able to find the tools because they all become one basic clay cog.
Yeah. So, yeah. Starting with early works for me. Cool.
Okay.
So,
Why don't we just start off with the early things then?
go back to early, what I'll do is I'll go towards the end of the Greek because you have more of the archaic style Greek, which you have the black figure. And then you get the more and more ornate Greek until you enter more of the, what between the two of us we refer to as the Rococo era of
The
Greek.
scar box art.
Yeah, cigar box art. Just, it's floofy. It has
It's very ornate.
It's ornate and lacks the composition of the earlier pieces.
Yeah, and we have some finished pieces over there that you
Yes.
can pick up and talk about.
Over. The Greek had to be one of the more inventive when it came to form of Greek
Oh,
utensils.
yeah.
Because in addition to regular shaped cups, you also have things like the writings, Greek drinking horns, frequently
Well,
animal-headed.
animal-headed drinking
This one's
horns.
from a dog. And then you had the skiffos. Sat on the hand like that. First time we were asked to make one of those, we had no idea how the handles were supposed to work. The thing is there's not all that much variety in terms of shape over time with cups, is there?
No, there's
You see
cup
this-
shape. You have your little drinking bowl.
You have drinking bowls, you have beaker-shaped cups,
You have, they got a little more
your
inventive.
pot-belly cups.
With the, this is one of the more exaggerated shape
I
variations,
haven't
but,
done the comparison image for the Iron Age stuff.
but we have a couple of irony. We brought one of those out.
Rolling down until where did it go? There it is. Kind of the follow-up on that, which is Viking there. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
close to 800 years difference between the era of those two styles. Now, yes, period, they would not have been glazed, but
Food safety.
modern food safety, it's got glaze.
It trumps, you know, it has the,
where it touches your face, where it touches your mouth,
can-
it's got
gotta be
glaze.
glaze. Because unglazed clay, has
porous.
surface, is porous, and it will collect bacteria.
So
And
this-
to really clean it, you need to boil it each time, which would be,
20 minutes.
yeah, that's ridiculous.
The thing is with all those period cook pots that weren't glazed,
Well,
they
there
only
were,
had a lifespan of like 2 weeks before something happened to it. The piece broke. It just got all funky on the inside because it was porous.
Yeah.
It's like with the some of the, I think they're the Middle Eastern recipes, where the recipe
Calls for a new
a
green
new
bowl.
green bowl.
Green glaze being proper.
So, our question to the cook at that point was, well, does the dish contain eggs? Because, eggs froth up better in copper bowls. So a copper glaze may have an effect on that. But
And
the reason for
and
the
she looked
new
into it
bowl,
and she's going,
it did. It
"Yeah."
was an egg dish.
It was an egg dish. And also a new bowl because
It has 0 contaminants. It's the closest thing you can get to sterile.
yeah, because it goes through.
I have never
temperature.
once gotten an infected cut cutting myself on freshly out of the kiln pottery. Yes, it has happened.
It will though.
Yeah. Because you have the little flanges of glazes glass. When it breaks, it, goes right through your skin. You don't notice because it's incredibly sharp.
Yeah.
I'm covering up the skull blanks.
Okay.
I don't want those to get
And the really interesting thing with the Iron Age is the way they fit in the hand.
Yeah. Yes, this one has a slightly larger foot than some of the other ones. But yes, they're very handy. Okay, yes, we have very small hands. This is a small example.
We also have done bigger ones.
Yes. But it was after about the kind of first millennium, or just coming up to that, where you start getting colors. Because, prior to that point, you have black, you have tan. But you do have these tin glaze pieces. The salmonid with the script. That's pretty much the beginning where you start really seeing the decorating.
Yeah.
Because they were using a white glaze as a base, or a white coating.
They would do the white slip
To
to mimic the porcelain, which a white clay is fairly rare in nature.
Yeah.
So what they would do to make it look like white clay, the porcelain, the high-end stuff, they paint it white
Yeah.
with, tin glaze, or maybe they had some white slip.
Yeah.
They could afford small amounts of it.
Yes. There was small deposits of the white clay.
It had
Which
rarity
was
factor.
very sparing with it. I was going to cut you off a few pieces of clay suitable for like bowls.
Okay.
And this clay is quite soft now, so you don't have to worry about it drying out readily. But yeah, the initial course where you first start seeing bright colors.
Yeah.
Because they're the green is copper, the yellow probably some form of ochre or other iron-rich deposit.
Yeah.
Because in low quantities you can get yellow. The red on the original piece, the red's
Nothing.
nothing good.
Nothing good.
Nothing good.
Well, gold can also make
Gold can
red.
make red. Lead can
Lead
make red.
make red. There are a few other things that are also very not healthy.
Toxic.
They make red. The modern reds are made from.
They're mason stains. They're stabilized. They're not going to poison anybody, including the ones who are working with materials.
Oh yeah.
So the same reason we don't do lusters. You do see lusters in a number of period pieces, but lusters are heavily metallic and leach out and permanently contaminate your kiln. You can get metal poisoning from touching it.
Cumulative contact poison.
You're posting a link to the historic pieces.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're on our website.
Yes, all these images that I'm sharing right now, they are up on the Running Team website. So you can go there, and each of the pages has the source images at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you can PM us if you want specific, because while these are examples of ones that we have done comparisons of, we do have
A lot.
many gigabytes of resource material.
Not to mention
Not to mention
a lot of books.
Yes.
A lot of books.
When it comes to the pieces that have the script on them, we stick with the ones
That have a translation.
have full translations. This one is take the middle road in your affairs. It is indeed it is salvation. Don't ride too gentle amount, nor too obstinate to one. A lot of equestrians go after that one. Surprise.
No.
You see a lot of the variations on that. And then you have about turn of the first millennium, you start seeing turquoise. The turquoise there was high copper glaze.
Yeah. Period version of it is not food safe
Oh,
because it's
heck
really
no.
high in copper.
Also, if you notice, they never specify cooking anything in a new turquoise dish. Green, yes. Turquoise, no.
Well, it depends on the amount of color.
Yes. Yes, you get the turquoise. You can see how there's concurrently similar styles.
Well, you have a lot of these cultures are different parts of the Mediterranean over time. So all these, they kind of build on one another and kind of flow from area to area. Because if you look at the map of where these different countries are, they're not that far apart.
No. It's like when we're saying that somebody says that they're looking for pottery that's appropriate to a relatively early persona, say 1100s. If you're looking at the strictly European stuff, a lot of the pottery at that point wasn't glazed. It would be the equivalent of the Viking stuff.
Which is 10th century.
It's 10th century.
Northern Ireland.
Yes.
Because that's where the Vikings settled. Because where they came from, there were no clay deposits.
There's no clay in Scandinavia. Clay is
Lots
regional.
of clay. Yes. You don't ship clay.
Oh, no. No, even today,
I can tell you how
they don't
expensive.
ship clay that much.
Clay is expensive to ship.
And a common misconception is that you pull the clay straight out of the ground and use it.
No, not even at the time
Not
did
even
they do it.
because and you can watch examples of it, like say on
Time Team.
Time Team, Secrets of the Castle, where they take the clay, they dig the clay out of the deposit, and then they have to mix it. They'll
They
mix
did
it
a
with sand.
really good one on Secrets of the Castle.
Yes. It's muddy, it's dirty, it's a long, arduous process to
Yes.
mix the clay. As modern clays also, they're formulated.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to have, once again, you want to make sure there isn't anything toxic in the clay. If you just dig it out of a riverbed or out of a hillside, it can have things like arsenic in it,
Yeah.
lead.
There was that deposit of clay that some
Was
of the
near HSU, Humboldt State University,
down in
California.
California. It was this riverbank that was eroding, and it was all this exposed length of clay, what the locals refer to as blue goo. The reason why it was blue was because of decomposed serpentine. Lots of serpentine in California,
Especially
which means
along
it's
the
high in
rivers.
arsenic, asbestos,
Yeah.
and copper. None of those you want to touch.
And
Not
people
at that
say
kind of
they
quantity.
don't care. And it's kind of like,
Oh,
wow.
I have a higher degree of, respect for my health. Thank you.
Okay, yes.
But when it came
We
to
both have art degrees and education degrees.
there's so
but-
much science in ceramics.
Oh, yeah.
Like the colorants on that piece, you have the white base clay. You have the blue, which is the original colorant for that would be cobalt, and then the brown, yet again, iron.
Right. Iron is a very useful colorant.
Yes, also a melter.
Yes. Yeah, and be careful what's in the water. I lived in a place that had high iron content in the water.
Very low quantities of iron will actually not give you a yellow or brown. Will actually give you a very pale green. That's what some celadon glazes are based off. It's a low contamination
Where we
level
used to
of
live,
iron.
We had really high iron content in the water. Turned the inside of. We didn't have white clothes. Let's put it that way.
Potters don't generally have white clothes anyways.
No, nothing stayed white in that house. But if added water from the tap to the clear glaze, we'd get this nice light green celadon.
Yes, except for where I had touched it, because I'm anemic, and I'd suck out just enough iron to eliminate the green tint in that location.
Yeah. Because here you have an example of the blue and black cup over there with the Middle Eastern.
Rinse my hands off first. When it came to pottery, it's not just the pottery in the immediate location that you'd be potentially getting pottery for your persona from. Like,
Yeah.
okay, 2 pieces from the 1200s. Now, if you were, say you have an Italian persona, early period. Early Italian, say 1200. Whereas this is the kind of pottery that was being made in Italy in that time period. You would also have access to the turquoise and black.
Because of the location
Because of trade.
Yeah. And those countries are physically not that far apart.
They're both of them Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Since, considering the trade route, where did the region you were, what areas were in contact with your region? Were they attached to the spice road there?
Yeah. The Silk Road.
Silk Road. Well, it's also called the Spice Road because more spices traveled on it than silk. That's also where you get the influence that got you the blue patterns on the pottery.
Yeah.
And cobalt being one of
the export quality pottery from China area.
Notice again some of that turquoise.
The turquoise
and brown.
And the brown.
So yeah, this is another 1200s piece. This one is also 1200s.
And that one's green though.
Yes. And you can see there's actually white added on top. But yeah, this was not white clay. This was a piece that was, again, your kind of
well, if you look at the chipped edges of the plate there.
That one actually doesn't have much in the way of chips.
You have to really zoom in.
Yes.
Believe me, I know.
She zooms in a lot. But yeah, there's more than turquoise. There's that flowing style reminiscent of some of
There's another peacock on that one.
And this again, still 1200s.
If you look at how it had the extreme shape.
And there is some Spanish for 1200s.
Green and brown.
Like, yes, these big regions that on the example piece are blank, those are chunks of the piece that are missing. But here you can see the wear on the edge, which is where the tan clay is showing through. Still, yeah. And there's, now we're getting over into more of the 1300s where you start seeing some significant increase in
some of the small rare areas where you'd actually get purple, which was manganese.
This is
put on thin, it would be brown, but put on thick, it was purple.
So long as we've kept it below a very certain firing temperature, because
other than that,
ornery.
Purple just burns away.
But again, yes, this one you can see we have a picture of the underside where it's just kind of a block tan brown front.
Yeah, just kind of there.
And then you have the white coating. This one actually, the underside is completely unglazed. They only glaze the interior of the dish. And then you have your 1400s Europe, Western Europe pottery, which tended to be green. You also saw kind of yellow and really icky. Your tool died.
Yeah, they do that after a while.
Yeah. But yes, as a chamber pot, there's a number of that's one really good place to find pottery is down
the brown, the green, the
yellow.
The yellow. Unless it was imported, then you'd have the stuff from Italy and Spain.
Because
in the Moorish countries.
Italian.
Yeah.
And with the Italian pottery, you didn't have a lot of regional differences because, it was the Italy's. They were city-states.
They're city-states, and they would be different per city because you'd have the different artist interpretation. And some of those shapes, you kind of wonder. if there is competition between
Who
the,
could make the most elaborate pottery form?
oh yeah,
I said, I do have one mug here that actually managed to get off its back for you.
also can cut some more pieces of clay
But
too.
yes, with this one you can see the return of the blue on white. The rat face here.
I like that one.
Very adaptable pattern. Mind you, I've recently found an owl version. I want to
Yeah.
do the owl. Owls are cute. But
I
there's
like
also
owls.
the fish
There's
version.
also the a lot of Greek versions of the owl.
Yes. I was trying to find, it was for one project, I was trying to find, a post-Greek owl.
It's not that easy.
No. You see falcons and other, raptory type birds, but you don't see a whole lot
You
of
want
owls.
You don't want the wise owl. You want the brave hunting bird.
Well, it's also the changing view of owls. Owls
Yes.
were seen as more of an evil creature for a while, rather
Yeah,
than
I
being
know. And it's kind of like, yeah, but you said also they fell out of
They
fashion.
fell out of fashion. But yes, here you can see, again, that purple color. Notice
Yeah.
they only use it in small spots and where it's
Yeah.
dying around.
Purple is still a really hard glaze to get.
Yeah. In fact, we have, we're going to be going through a new period of looking for the right purple.
The purple.
The
because
purple.
they discontinued the color we've been using.
For the last 15 years.
Yeah, I know. Took a couple of years to find a good one, and then
And, yeah, now we have to look for it again.
yeah.
But yes, this one's more of the
We
Montelupo.
have a purple that is decent right
Yeah.
now. It's just not great.
And here we have, again, this one of the Spanish pieces where they had a much simpler color palette.
Yeah.
They were either
We have the
green and black on white or brown and blue on white.
kind of the bronzy colored.
Yeah, not a dark brown, not a walnutty brown,
No,
not
yeah.
a light tan fade away kind of brown, but this
It's
kind
not yellow.
brown.
It's not brown. It's not. It's kind of
It's an
bronzy
in-between
color.
color.
That was one that actually had to
We have to mix
take
that color.
two commercially made colors, and they are made to.
They're all food safe.
They're all food safe, and they're still food safe if you mix them.
But yes,
And it's good.
more
Yeah.
of the Italian. A lot of the Italian pieces are out of Valencia or Mainz, and I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that now.
Yeah. But that's how it's spelled.
Yes. Manius?
Well,
yeah, Mainz.
unless somebody can tell us better pronunciation.
Type it in phonetically. But the interesting thing regarding the white-coated wares and Spain is the origin of the modernly used term of Maiolica. It's because they thought the pottery came from the island of Majorca off the coast of Spain. It didn't come from there. That was just trade import. The pottery was
Everything.
used elsewhere.
Was imported there.
Yes, it was a trading port. That's all that island was.
Yeah.
But since the pottery was shipped from there, they thought that it was a style originating from there.
And then it was a misspelling.
Oh yeah, the Maiolica, Majolica.
And it was Majorca.
Yeah, it's Majorca, so it's got a J in there. So the J is the more accurate spelling.
Yeah, but it also had an R in there. And
The R was dropped by I think the Italians.
Yeah, I
They were the
know.
ones that
And it
adopted
was
the
kind of
term.
like, it even had one of the sounds missing. I'll get some more.
But yeah, the term for that entire style is a 600-year-old assumption. 600 to 700-year-old
Yeah.
place of origin assumption.
Did you have the thing?
Yes.
Oh, the fine.
The Italians were very much into the fine floral details. And
Mhm.
decorating the outside as well as the inside.
Yeah, even the bottom.
But yes,
They would have the
Starting-
piece, you'd have one design, very detailed on the inside. Then you have the looser design on the outside, which oftentimes even covered the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
And sometimes you can see on the bottom these little scars, which would have been where the stilt sat to keep it from sticking to anything else. But it's from about the, you start seeing it in the 1200s with the early decorated Italians, but you do see pottery with heraldry on it.
Yeah.
Earliest, I got it here, it's spelled majolica in Spanish, pronounced maholica. Yes, I figured it's that, that soft JH sound that you see in a lot of languages when it comes to J's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, the Norwegian, the Norse kind of, and it's
And Gaelic.
in Gaelic where it's, I can't think of a single instance where I've seen a J in Gaelic.
Yeah, but you have things that make that sound, but they don't
yeah.
use it. But then you have things like Welsh.
Yeah. Well, I was talking specifically the J's, where it's a Y sound in most of your Scandinavian languages.
Uh-huh.
It's not a J at all.
You also
Yeah.
have,
Majolica. They use a stencil type application for the patterns.
no, they're all hand-drawn.
Yeah.
All hand-drawn,
The
hand-painted.
closest you get to references to any sort of guides being used or on the 3 Books of the Potter's Art, which is a period document about pottery creation.
It was a book that was written. It was commissioned.
By the Pope at the time.
Yes, and he wanted to know the secrets. So he sent people in there to write down everything that the potters did.
You
Which
think the
they
potters
left
let
things out.
everything get written down? But the thing is when they finished the work, it got stored in the vault for the next
500 years.
400 years. Because it came out of the vault in the 1930s.
Yeah.
And it got published, and we have one of those.
It was published.
Majolica, yeah. Different pronunciations of
Yeah.
the whitewashed pottery, otherwise known as tin glazed.
Yeah, there's so many different pronunciations. And people who are willing to argue to the death that their pronunciation is right. And it's kind of,
And their own regional spelling.
yeah, but it's,
It's like whether or not you spell color with a U towards the end.
the color,
But there's some
honor,
references.
there's,
Yeah, that whole family of words.
yeah.
But the closest reference you get to there being any guides involved are it's one reference and only one reference in the 3 Books of the Potter's Art, which for it's not so much a stencil as it was large flat piece of paper with holes poked in it to get some basic guide marks.
Yeah.
Kind of like my circular guide wheels that I use today.
Yeah.
But they, get some charcoal sprinkled through the holes and quickly connect the dots. But you still had to know.
But you had a number of people. It wasn't all done with one person. Just like in this day and age, with the two of us, no one person does everything.
And we have mechanics that take the job of some of the extra people.
She does the research in the underdrawings, which is something that would have been done by 2 people. And I do the throwing and the painting.
There's a couple of depictions. Maybe I should probably get some of the Potters at Work folder onto this machine so I can access it for the future. Okay, different languages, different pronunciations.
Oh, yeah.
Even different regions within a single language get such severe variations in pronunciation.
Tomato. I mean, you get people who, no, just as a modern example of.
But yes, modernly, as in period, there would have been like 4 or 5 people who manned the firing of the kiln.
A small pottery works was 9 or 10 people. And for the longest time, we were being told, well, you have to be able to do everything yourself. Yes, I can do it all, but
The
Really?
manufacture, the mixing of the clay itself, that is a specialized job. The formulation of the pigments, because even in period, that brown and that blue, those weren't, straight out of the ground grinded up pigments.
They had glaze kilns.
Yeah,
where they would
specialized kilns that basically made the Renaissance equivalent to mason stains. What they used to stain concrete today. And they also use similar things for, modern underglazes. Because, there's a lot of color there. So
you had one person who would draw the designs on there. Another person that would paint the broad regions. Another person would paint the
details.
The fiddly little bits.
And somebody who was there for, the backfills.
Yes.
Case in point is there's one piece in one of the books we have where it's this, it's a blue and white, it's an Italian piece.
Yeah.
But whoever was doing the broad fill in the background didn't put it on heavy enough. Because
it says blue.
Azuro.
But yeah.
They didn't put it on thick enough so that the
you can see
the paint by numbers label was still showing.
Because if you're doing it for a living, it's, yes, you can prove that you can do it yourself, do every step.
See, it's the person who did the shading, because all of these regions here were shaded in blue first, and then the other colors added over the top. Which is really strange because
you put in the line work first. I do all the painting. Well, except for the broad back.
The broad regions. In which case, I don't touch most pieces that look like this, past doing the underdrawing.
You do the outlines first.
Yeah.
And then you'll do the blue region. And then you do the following colors after that. A lot of times, you have the yellow, you have the orange, you might have a little bit of green or brown. That one is mostly
little touches of
purple.
Because purple is a pricey color. It's on.
And it shows, it was to show, here, look
I'm
at,
fancy.
I'm rich, I can afford this color.
It was just that little bit of purple on the peacock feathers.
And sometimes if it wasn't fired just right, or not on there just right, it would turn brown.
As you see, the purple's always very sparingly used.
Can you get some more?
Yes, another chunk of clay.
One lovers, and these could probably go into the bag.
Yeah, here, let me. What?
And it's also,
Oh, yes.
Okay, yeah. And it's also, I noticed there's some, what do you want? This was some hello.
Hello.
And stick Nick
Because for whatever reason, it'll give the notifications of who's watching on the mobile version.
But it doesn't, it's not very efficient at getting messages.
No.
I'm not going to be able to read what's on the screen across the room from me.
No. That's not within range of your bifocals. Okay, this could either be a goblet or an S-side or a mug. It's that 26-ounce piece. It could even be a plate. I could cut off several pieces in that 26-ounce range.
Yeah.
The issue at the moment is that one of the more elaborate Italian pieces.
Yeah.
And that's a different city-state than the previous ones, which a lot of those were derivative. You can tell that region had different color choices. They probably had different lines for the colors. Maybe they fired their kiln a little hotter because those colors look kind of dull.
Yeah. Well, they were all hand-fired. They didn't have any kind of way of...
As compared to nowadays,
kiln tech, you'd have the master kiln.
5 viewers showing on the Facebook feed. Yeah. And the thing is once we're done with the stream, we'll be able to, we get a little report that shows how many people are watching on Facebook versus YouTube comments from everybody come up on the box of the screen here.
I don't know if you're on the phone.
Well, they come up, they're just big. They're not legible. Not enough pixels on that screen. And here's one where the original image that we had of plate there was black and white. So we had no idea what the actual, we were working on grayscale palette and going, okay.
Because the original
blue
is
looks
in
like-
the Louvre. And most of the,
Is this the blue one? No, this one's in the Met.
but a lot of the ones there. And it's kind of like,
Yes.
you have all the Italian pottery in the Louvre, and they're black and white photos. That is so annoying.
Is the lattice pattern. We have the black and white image of it, and then we have a blurry tourist picture of the same piece.
Well, which gave us the colors.
Loving the reference photos. Great. Been building these ones for
Oh,
15 plus years.
about 15 years.
Because this spring, this May,
It'll be
we'll be entering
18.
our 18th year in business.
Yeah, it'll be 18 years. This
But yeah, this one you can see where they make good use of the different colors simply by shading it. And they weren't that precious when it came to the exactitude of how they painted.
Yeah, because part of it is to try to paint in the style, not to copy every brush stroke, but to copy the intent,
Because these pieces
to reproduce.
they were made production. They were
Yeah.
they were not high art. They were everyday tableware. They were
Well,
the
if you were
equivalent-
rich.
Yeah. You might have a couple of nice pieces if you were in the middle class range there.
Yeah.
Once you get onto this style here, which is the Iznik, which they're still making pottery of that same style.
Iznik is
There.
a region
Today.
in Turkey.
Yes.
It's not a city, it's
It's a
a
region.
region. I said it was a city once and I was corrected by somebody who knew. So it's a region.
This is one of the styles that we will actually use specific white clay for. We'll also do this
Oh,
with the
you have
whitewash.
those.
But yeah, because the reason for the subtly different shapes, where they don't go in and out nearly as much. Hello, it is Italian piece. The reason for this, and also for these flat handles like this, is they weren't made out of
true
it wasn't
clay.
a
It
true
was
clay.
a stone paste,
Yeah.
which doesn't do this. It doesn't do this.
No, it's not plastic. It doesn't have a stretch and bend.
It doesn't.
You can't
It
pull
does
handles.
straight. You notice they're all just
Angular.
angular. And the handles weren't pulled. They were cut out of a slab.
Because you can't, if you try to do the pulled handle,
They
It
it
snapped.
just break.
yes, you can start seeing the differences of pottery that were all available at the same time. That one's from Italian area of Caravaggio.
That one's another interesting one.
Yeah,
That has larger regions of purple on it.
yeah.
Because the skirt is
But it's
green and
also-
purple.
Also, the purple's very washy.
Yes. But still, there are larger areas.
Yeah.
And it
Later
has the
period.
black, the green, the purple. It's
What
very.
clay are you using today?
I'm using a stoneware.
Yes.
It's
This is the base clay that we use to mimic the color of a lot of the earthenwares. This is a mug. I want to
It's
have
not
one over here.
earthenware.
No.
Just to mimic their current stonewares of their local place. Earthenware.
Yeah, as I said, mimic the color of the earthenware. We are not mimicking. We are not making
don't-
earthenware.
Because earthenware is just bisque fired. It's like the clay pots you get from the hardware store.
Not food
It's
safe.
porous. The water will percolate through.
This earthenware will absorb. If you take a sample of earthenware, you weigh it before get your dry weight. Then if you boil it for 20 minutes, it'll absorb an hour. It'll absorb 20% or more of its weight in water.
Yeah.
Stoneware, you're looking at the
5 to 14.
5 to 14%.
No, 6 to 14.
6 to 14% of its weight. And anything under 2% is considered porcelainous, because you can have clays that aren't a true porcelain, that are still porcelainous.
It means that, and or
Glass
black clay. Yes, it's.
Because we have two pieces out here that are, that one's porcelain. Both of these pieces are made out of a porcelainous clay. This is a black, and that's a white clay. We use the black clay to mimic the color
Of the wood fire.
Yeah, the wood fired, coal fired.
Or the darker clay bodies.
Yeah, because there were dark clay bodies.
Because they were, a lot of them were wood or coal or peat fired. In other words, they were in a reduction environment, which means that the flame was burning the oxygen.
Yeah, it was the flame was eating the oxygen out of the piece of clay.
Yeah, and so you get a darker color.
And this
And
one
you can
here,
do that with gas kilns. We use an electric kiln.
so when it comes to creating reduction appearances, we have to use
Get
modern
creative with-
finagling.
Yeah.
Kind of like this piece here, where the original piece was salt fire. But salt firing is its own special level of ick, because you open the red hot kiln and you throw salt into it. This is how you get salt firing. The sodium adheres to the clay, but the chlorine gas is released.
Yeah, it produces cubic
Cubic
yards of chlorine gas, and there are a number of cities.
In which it's illegal to do so because of that.
Yeah, and people, do that, and the fact it's also not food safe.
No, because it is all that sodium. Oh, it's like, do you need that much sodium? But with this, we use two different glazes layered up
To make
to
it look.
recreate the effect without recreating the technique.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people don't do wood fire.
But yes, there is an example where
Not wood fire.
you have
Salt fire.
the original object that found in the archaeological record, then you have the mugs themselves painted in the corner of a large painting. So two different sources giving you the rough time period of things. Do you use any ash-based glazes?
No.
Again,
Once again, it comes down to
what was in the tree?
food safety. You don't know what the tree.
Unless you test every batch of ash is used, it creates a highly variable product and can be contaminated.
Because what was in the dirt?
What was in the dirt the tree grew in, or whatever other sources ash you're using.
Yeah. Bone china. Can you guess what's in bone china?
Oh,
Bone.
calcium.
It's ground up bone. It gives it a nice translucent appearance. And there's really nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's kind of like, it could be things like cow bone. We're not talking about it's necessarily people bone or anything, although I've heard of that.
That was a thing for a while when
Yes, I know.
your
That's what I said.
relatives passed on, you sold the bones. But here's a piece that is the Islamic time period, but is very heavily influenced by the more of the Asian pottery coming across. So I need to get you some bags for the handles.
Yeah, also some more clay.
Yes, I know.
Here, I'll trade you lumps of clay for these
Well, I can
handles.
either get you handles or I can deal
Let go, I can trade you. Crystal Larson, there you go.
There we go. 21 ounces. This is more like a bowl-sized piece. Ugh. But yes, I'll get to the Disney pieces. Ow, ow, ow. Stupid scratching finger from the cat. There's one of those flat, angular handles.
Yeah, and they're actually comfortable.
Yeah, it's weird. They're weirdly comfortable.
Because oh god, those are going to be so uncomfortable. I'm the first guy has to make those. And it's good. Okay. So make 6 of them, and just in case
they fail.
in case 1 or 2 fails.
They all made it.
They all made it. We've never had one of those fail.
No.
Ever. been making those for
over a decade.
yeah. Trying to think of how long, but yeah.
That. And some of the later is stuff you start seeing excessive use of red.
Yeah.
Red is another one of the ornery ones.
Yeah.
Because you can see a little bit in this one where that's not shading on the edge of the regions.
The red would be, and a lot of them were very heavy and gloopy.
Yes. It actually stuck up from the surface. Huh. It was blobby.
I was very cut.
Hello.
Hello. But yeah, and some of the certain shades of yellow and orange, you have things like molybdenum. You have some really
pattern.
toxic
Once
chemicals.
again, there's one of the scale pattern pieces, and one of the pieces where all we have is the black and white. So we have to figure out what we actually do. Sometimes we'll take one of the color images and we'll flip it into black and white and see what the different colors look like in terms of shades of gray.
Yeah.
And then use that to cross-reference the one that we don't know the colors of.
Yeah. Well, that's what the blue looks like.
If the blue looks like that, then that shade there might be the green.
Or the orange, because those are, in this style of whatever style of picture it is.
We'll have one of the ISNIC ones up where you don't really see orange or yellow.
Yeah.
It's generally blue, green, red.
Well, we had one that it was good. It was orange.
Oh yeah, the serpent piece.
Yeah.
I had no idea the little dude's hair was orange.
Yeah.
But yes, I like boats. Boats and flowers. And specifically, it's like you find even specific varieties of flower. They may not be naturalistic color, but they use the same one again and again. Like the city-state of Siena and their
Use of orange and blue.
orange and blue. Orange and blue.
Yeah.
And specifically, there's were
accordion
angular.
pattern there.
Accordions and checkers. Here's
Yeah.
a mini.
Okay.
Because that piece was loose and rolled up already. Yep. Yes.
The Medusa plate.
The Medusa plate.
And it's not that it has. What is really disturbing about it? It's asymmetrical.
Single bit is asymmetrical. Which is kind of hard to draw, actually.
And it took a long time to paint because I had to make
Oh.
sure that I kept all the shading asymmetrical. Because
And the thing with shading on ceramic is, like, depending on the color, half of your shading will burn away.
half to 2/3.
Yeah.
It's not what you see is what you get. It's kind of like, okay, that color, if I get the blue a little thinner, it's probably one of the easier ones to shade with.
The blue
But
is a little more WYSIWYG.
It's a little bit more, sometimes. I've just gotten so used to using it at this point, but the green, there's such a fine gradient between, it's solid.
And it's gone. This is another mug or plate size piece.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
And then yellows, I will never be able to replicate the Italian yellow.
No, because you use antimony. But here's one where it's an example of all the various shaded regions. We had the big flat areas. There's probably one painter who put down all the blue, and then another one who came in and did the others. There's my blue.
It could have even been you had different people doing each color.
Because there's that one depiction in the 3 books of the Potter's Art where there's this hanging, like, table. It's round. And you can tell in the image that it's meant to spin. And you have all these potters just sitting around holding the piece in one hand and painting with the other. Just no table under with the piece they're holding. It's just sitting in their laps.
Yes.
which is exactly, it's the best way of handling a piece of pottery when you're painting it. Still do that today. It's just kind of, without knowing how people had done it in the past, it's just the best way to handle the piece. Okay, so
Bleh.
my hands are getting all goopy at this point.
Oh, there's towel.
There's the, they're the layer, no, that wouldn't take it off. It would just smear it. I have to wash my hand. Because it's the crunchy layer.
It would still help.
My skin holds onto the clay differently than yours.
Yeah, well, I have like.
I can, at this point, if I try to just rub it with a towel, I burnish it. It
comes
sticks.
right off.
You've got different, so here you can see where they put the yellow shading over the blue shading, and it does not make green.
Oh yeah.
It kind of,
There's that
it
one.
almost grays out.
It's the what was that one with the horse? In it?
Yes, the horseman plate.
Yeah, we have to put in all the blue, and then once you're finished with all the blue, including all the shading.
There it is.
Yeah, and then you put in bits of yellow.
Yes.
Regions of yellow.
Over the top.
Just right over the top of it. Like, that's never really gonna work. And yeah, it does. No, yellow over blue is yellow over blue. It is not green.
And here you can see where they came back in and added just little touches of brown, the bronzy brown tone.
Yeah, that bronzy color.
Yes.
My favorite color. Because that one is such an ornery color.
Because sometimes when that burns away, it turns green.
And no, just to work with too. Because
And
it dries out so quickly, even in a sealed container.
And then there's the ladder pattern series.
Oh, those ones are so much fun to work on.
I think when we did the original of that one, it took, what was it?
I lost track.
Yeah, you lost track at 50 hours of painting.
And I was only maybe 2/3 of the way done.
Yeah. And I know
That was a lot of fun.
I know I put in about 20 hours with just underdrawing. Because the original bladder that's not it. The one on this side, that's not a flat bladder. That one's actually a lenticular shape. So it was getting that floor pattern in place on a curved surface.
The thing was like 16
And
inches across or
drawing
something.
on it, I discovered that it looks like it's on 1-point perspective. It's not. The perspective is actually, it's not a clean 1-point perspective as you go in towards that little scene in the background.
Oh, yeah, you just...
I will never forget.
It was more to the point as you wouldn't forgive that thing.
No. Well, and you can also see that some of the distortion here where they didn't, this is also not a flat platter. This one here is probably shaped more like this, so it has the lip that it goes down in the middle and back up to the other side. And you can see the distortion in the grid pattern. But yeah, getting that floor pattern in.
Okay. Next.
And that was actually, it was a set of 13 pieces that was done for the commemoration of your first son's birth.
Because
Thing
it'll
is-
have the heraldry somewhere on each of them.
Yes.
But not all of them still exist.
They may still exist, but there's no photographs of them. They're in private
No, they haven't.
collections. What size are those platters? Those ones, the original...
I think they're like...
This one I haven't done the original size. But
the reproduction was like
reproduction here
16 inches.
16 to 17 inches across.
Across.
Big.
Is big.
That's the reason that we could get so much fun.
And
with
all
detail.
the detail, all the shading, because it has to be put in on
layers.
layers. And as soon as you put one thing of underglaze over the other, you don't see through it. They become opaque layers. You have to remember what is there.
Or else you're out of luck. I think that's about 22 ounces, so that could be like a beakery shape.
could.
It occurs to me, I handed it to you, and then I'm like, what size was that piece again?
It's a better cup size.
There's a cup for a larger bowl.
Yeah, it'll be fine. So, okay.
That was a 16-ounce piece, and this one is a 26.
So I've done 2 of those.
Yeah, because you did.
I really should pick another one of those to do.
I think those are the 2 flat pieces that series. There's a broad-rimmed bowl that I had the photograph of.
Yeah, I remember the picture,
There's also
Sarah.
one that looks vaguely like a trophy.
And should do another one.
This is the lady who has a cat in the helmet there.
Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Oh, then
And the
there's this one.
Italian joke flower. The translation to what's on the scroll, which is written backwards, is when men look at me, all they see is a head made of glass. Because the translation going forward on the back piece. Because sometimes it wasn't always serious pieces, and it wasn't always the serious pieces that survived. Oh, here's the more dignified stuff. Which we've never done the back use. Use this for scrolling. We've never done the shaded blue treasure background.
I should.
Yeah.
Do that on a big jug.
Yeah.
That would look really good.
That one has, the wreath pattern goes up the handle as well. So there you can see the inside wash. And I know why the rim on that jug looks brown. So that's not a wear pattern. Is that even all the way around? And where's that paint? That's where all the white layer got rubbed off while somebody was painting it. That's what that is. And sometimes we have a similar issue when the white will rub off the edge of something.
Yeah, that's why I always do the edges last.
Yeah. I think that has a message sound in the background, but we'll get to that later.
Alright, that made it nice.
Yes, and there's Roy's favorite pattern there.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that we'll actually use. I have one of the few times where I actually use guides. We have discs with pinprick holes in them giving different division lines.
Yeah, like half, thirds.
Fifths.
Sevenths?
And sevenths. There's a lot of tenths are very useful because tenths great for roses.
Yeah.
The sevenths, you really do see the division of 7 on some of the Middle Eastern pieces.
It is very
And-
common to
oh,
have a division
goodness.
of 7.
And they would stack different numbers of divisions, and it just make me go a little batshit because it's like,
We're doing this one.
it's at 6. No, that's not 6. That's 7. The other layer is 6, and the next layer in might be 12. It's just, ugh.
Yeah.
It's looking and seeing what's there and not what you think is there. Oh, I don't have a new version of this comparison on this machine. We recently found a better color copy of this one because
One that is a little higher risen.
yeah, one that's not a bad photograph of a printing in a book. You can see the dot pattern in the book. So yeah, here it looks like it's brown. The better version of the image that we found recently, there's a reason why we painted it brown. Recently discovered, this area down here is black. And there's blue and green, there's red in this area. There's no turquoise on it at all.
It was just a light blue.
It was just a washy blue, kind of like what we did on the
But
sails
we didn't
here.
have a washy blue for that. That would have been that color.
No.
Tried to match the
Point.
colors of that
Yeah,
picture.
because in this
But
image,
yes.
and this little area right here is actually green. But you'd never know it on this image. So yes, at some point we are going to do the new rendition of the color. But it'll basically be a color alt version because people like that version.
Yeah.
And here's one where we did do the mostarda jar.
Yeah.
That
did
was
come out
kind
good.
of fun to do, because all of these, and this is a beautifully high-res image.
Yeah.
And there's a place where it's the gray shading.
With all the treasure
And
background.
yes, here's an example of where they have images of a few angles of the piece in color.
Some of them are in color, some of them are black.
2 pictures, so you get the front and back of it, because you can just see this spot right here is this little area, is that dot right there. So I know how far it is around that corner. But that angle is in black and white, and there's nothing off on this side that you can see. You just have to guess
Yeah.
and conjecture what goes in the place that you can't
And see what kind of conjecture for the shading too.
And that one's in the V&A.
Yeah. We made 2 of those.
Yeah, it's a fun project.
It was. We made them, they were quart size.
Yes. We made them this size. The originals were more like this.
Yeah.
They were big.
They're big. Which would have been easier for doing the shading
It would
and
have
the
been a lot
treasure
easier to do
background.
the painting. And here's a piece where it was the Isn't It that had someone's herald ring on it. And so that little teardrop shape, which is something you see more in the Turkish pottery at that period. You didn't have the classic shield shape or the
round.
or the really elaborate shapes that you get on some of the Italian pottery.
Yeah.
Where it got very frou-frou.
I like the teardrop shape.
Yeah, that's a very pleasing format.
Yeah. It's pretty much the
That
shape
right
of them.
there, that is my least favorite flower to draw.
Really, Sarah? Which
the
one
big-
is that?
She knows. So that was one where it was easy to, it was a customized piece, it got heraldry added to it. Just replaced the flower there with that, pointy teardrop shape. And yes, they were very big into having peacocks. And there's 6 different peacock patterns, all roughly the same era, all 1500s, all different shapes of peacock.
Yep.
Yep. And that is your last piece of clay. After that,
Okay.
you are out. This looks like a
We
piece that will
don't.
have no handles, so he goes over here to dry. To make things easier when it comes to sorting out pieces later, things that don't have handles or have gotten their handles already, they go over there to dry. Things that need handles, they go over there. Multiple pieces that need assembly, over there.
And this will probably be the end because it's just about 1 o'clock.
Oh, cool. Oh, it's slightly after.
Yeah, so we probably should end it here.
We'll end it here. Bye.
Bye-bye.